Welcome, Cadence community. It's exciting to be here with you tonight, Wednesday, August 25th. We're so glad to be with you. My name is Steve Boyce. I'll be your host and moderator for this episode of Cadence. And boy, we couldn't be more excited to be with you for our topic tonight. Super special, super important topic. It's on everybody's minds. Everybody is talking about the new world of work. And tonight we'll be talking about thriving in the new world of work with two very special guests who we'll be bringing on shortly in just a few moments. But first, a few initial suggestions and tips for all of you to enjoy your experience tonight on Cadence. Of course, Cadence is your monthly destination for what's hot in marketing, in events, in engagement, generally speaking. And we look to bring exciting guests to you, our Cadence community, to share best practices and tips and their unique perspectives on how to drive engagement with your audiences and communities and really get the value that you're looking for out of your great program. So we will be exploring thriving in the new world of work in just a few moments. Before we do, a few tips and best practices about this great environment we're in. Thanks to Chris and his team at Ace Events for building this beautiful environment for our experience here at Cadence. Folks, you'll notice along the bottom, you probably did earlier when we were in our pre-event mingling, you do have a control panel at the bottom, which allows you to, of course, engage with the platform in a variety of ways. One of the things you'll notice is there is a button tile view, which will expand the video pods and the size of those for when you're at your table in small group discussion. Excuse me. You can also hit back to floor if you'd like to shrink the size back up into the more film strip-like view that you probably had when you came into the platform. Secondly, folks, when we're in our networking sessions, and we're going to be getting to that in segment 2 of tonight's program, we do want you to share your faces, right? Turn on the video cameras, turn on your mics, share your perspectives in those small group discussions. We hope you were already doing that before we started the program. And of course, one final point of engagement, we do have chat features here at Cadence. So while I'm up here with our very special guests, we'd love for you to share your thoughts and perspectives in the chat. There is a general chat, which everybody in the audience and community here can see. You also have the opportunity to find particular individuals who are attending tonight, and you can reach out to them for a private chat. So we do hope you avail yourselves of those opportunities, folks. We look forward to a very interactive and lively discussion. And in just a moment, I'll be introducing our two very special guests. But stay tuned, folks, because during segment 2, you're going to be helping us to produce and co-create the final segment, segment 3 of our program tonight. So that'll be very exciting. Looks like folks are already using the chat. If you haven't, be great to see where you're broadcasting from tonight. Type in your city and location. Tell us what the weather is like. Just a program note, folks, I'm wearing this Hawaiian shirt from Maui to honor the state of Hawaii. Unfortunately, it looks like they're moving back to some health restrictions. So sending good vibes to Hawaii. Hope that things get better there. Folks can start meeting in person again. All right. Looks like it's warm and sunny and warm in various places, Grand Rapids, Atlanta, through other great cities across the country. Thank you, folks, for taking your valuable time to join us here on Cadence. So with those introductory remarks and a few tips to enjoy your experience here, I want to move now, folks, to introducing our two very special guests. But first, a few notes about our topic tonight, because we're going to be discussing the what thriving at work really means and how that looks in the new world of work, right? We've all experienced more than just a taste of that, right? As we've been hunkered down throughout this awful pandemic. And the world of work continues to rapidly evolve and is more digital than ever. And so how we work with each other, whether it's remote, whether it's in person or some hybrid, right, that works for us individually or our organizations, may be very different, company to company or individual to individual. So our amazing two guests tonight are going to help us dive into this topic and really explore the new models for work and share their perspectives from their unique experience for what it means to lead in this new world of work. How do we motivate our team members to drive the most engagement and the most productivity? and also talk through implications of culture and how we engage with each other as humans. So with that very long preamble, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our very first guest, very special guest. Tonight, I'm very proud to introduce Brittany Lenhart, who is founder of Work Culture Consulting and is an 8-year US Air Force veteran turned entrepreneur. Brittany served as a jet engine mechanic and as flight crew for the Secretary of Defense before harnessing her passion for building healthy, successful, and sustainable work cultures to boost productivity and improve mental health. So I'd like to welcome to the program Brittany Lenhart. Brittany, great to see you. Thanks for joining us on Cadence tonight.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on the program. Brittany, where are you broadcasting from this evening?
Las Vegas.
Oh, beautiful Las Vegas. How are things in that amazing American city?
It's better than last year. As we know, Vegas was hit hardest. What I would say, from my opinion, that it was hit hardest because we are an entertainment industry, a lot of hospitality, food, beverage, things like that. And, all that went away for a whole year. And it was very, very hard for the people of Las Vegas. But thankfully, we're coming back. We're always hashtag Vegas strong. So
love the optimism. No, it's been a tough, 14, 16, 18 months, depending where you start your chart. But Brittany, it's great to have you with us tonight. We're going to bring Kelly on here in a second. Look forward to come back to you, and we're going to get into our topic for our audience tonight. So folks, with that, let's go ahead and bring up our second very special guest tonight. Kelly Combat is a people-centric engagement strategist with over 18 years of human resource experience and is currently Global Director of Employee Experience at the International Trademark Association. Kelly's worked with big brands like Ford Motor Company, Volvo USA, and L'Oreal, and is a professional certified coach by the International Coaching Federation. So welcome to the program tonight, Kelly Combat. Kelly, thanks for joining us here on Cadence.
Absolutely. So happy to be here.
It's great to have you with us. Kelly, I'm going to open with the same quick question I did with Brittany. Where are you broadcasting with us tonight?
In the lovely, exciting town of Berkeley Heights, New Jersey.
Berkeley Heights, New Jersey, representing. I love it. For those of us who are geographically challenged, like your humble moderator, Kelly, where is that in the beautiful state of New Jersey?
It's about an hour outside of Midtown, New York City, and about 20 minutes from the Newark Airport.
Wonderful. Fantastic. And how are things in that part of the country as it pertains to this awful pandemic? Are things getting back to normal? Still some challenges?
Yeah, things are getting back to some semblance of normalcy. We recently had an update in New York City where you must be vaccinated to be able to go into an entertainment venue. So any kind of bars, restaurants, fitness centers, things like that, you have to be vaccinated.
Wow. So lots of big changes. New York is often at the forefront of some of these kinds of things. How are they attempting to, monitor that rather than police it? Is technology involved, or folks just have to show some documents?
It's a slow build. They announced it for mid-August, and they're not going to start enforcing it until mid-September. So just a slow build.
Gotcha. Okay, give some folks time to adjust to that.
Yes.
New reality, hopefully temporary reality. So wonderful, Kelly. Well, great to have you with us on the program. Love to bring Brittany back and have all three of us on the screen here and get into our topic tonight. I know folks are just can't wait to hear the perspectives of the two of you. So let's go ahead and kick this off. And Brittany, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. And we talk about the new world of work, right? And I've also heard the future of work and these really big phrases. And, some folks are probably excited about that. Some folks are probably really frightened about that. But maybe it'd be a great place to start I'd love to hear your perspective on how do you define the new world of work or the future of work? Kind of what does that mean to you at sort of its core basis? And then I'm going to ask Kelly the same question, and we'll just start from that level set point here for our audience.
I would say that it's making everyone, businesses as well as people, have to be very adaptive, because there are a lot of people who, got laid off during COVID, and now they kind of have the flexibility to now work where they want to work. and they're not going to settle for a bad culture anymore. They're not going to settle for working for a place that doesn't make them happy or pay them what they deserve and things like that. So companies, everyone's starting to see now a bunch of like looking to hire signs, or even at fast food joints. And it's hard to get people on because people are setting a higher standard for themselves, which I love. So that's what I'm saying.
I love that higher standard aspiration as well, Brittany, and we're going to come back to that optimism. I will note for the audience, I ran into that challenge tonight, Brittany. I had to make my own sandwich at Subway. Now, I don't know what's going on. I didn't get a discount, and I left the jalapenos off, so I wasn't happy with my own service, so that was really poor. We'll leave that aside. Kelly, same question to you. What are you seeing as some of the big, as we think about the future of work, the new world of work, how do you define that when people ask you, what is this all about? What's your quick answer, Kelly, to that basic question?
Flexibility, agility, and no more one size fits all. That's what it's all about. It's what Brittany was saying earlier. It's not about this top-down, patriarchal, matriarchal, draconian kind of approach. It's got to be about customization and listening to your employees. And at the end of the day, that's what we should have been doing all along. There's no going back to the way things used to be. And I'm all excited about it.
Now, that's a pretty bold statement, Kelly, that we're not going to go back to the way things used to be. Some people say we want to go back to the way it was before COVID, right? But it sounds to me like what you see this as an opportunity for organizations and for people. Share a little bit more about what you think in that regard.
Yeah, so interesting question, Steve. And really the focus has got to be about growth. It's all about just that perpetual motion and doing more for yourself and looking out for yourself, being your own advocate. And I'm speaking not just on behalf of leadership, but it's also on behalf of you as an employee or you as the owner of your own business. Take an opportunity to do what you need to for yourself. And advocate for yourself. So, really focus on self-care, focus on growing, focus on doing whatever you can do to make yourself happy. That's the most important thing in all of this.
Excellent. Brittany, I see you coming off mute. I know culture, mental health are issues that are really passions of yours. Kelly talks about self-care. Feed off her comments a little bit in terms of what you think people should be doing to kind of seize this opportunity, even when it feels like a challenge.
I feel that people, this is a huge thing for our business, so I'll plug it, that you need to be in alignment with the company's mission, vision, and values. Are the values that the company has something that you value? Because if you don't, then you probably don't want to go there. And companies can use that to their advantage when branding for trying to hire on people and vice versa. So it's like everyone can, take that into an account.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Brittany, I know in your work, you often work with startups, emerging, organizations trying to grow their companies and so forth. I think the pandemic has been particularly challenging for many small companies. What kind of trends are you seeing in smaller organizations, startups, in their workforces, kind of coming, I'd love to say coming out of the pandemic, right? I want to be an optimist, but at this point in time, like what are some of the things that you're seeing, some of the changes, both positive and negative in some of the small companies that you work with?
Business owners that I see that are happy to be more open-minded are taking to the remote life. And because they're taking to the remote life, they're realizing, and I had a client that was in Mexico, that they're realizing they can expand throughout other parts of Mexico because they're willing to now go remote. So this is growth for the company, like Kelly kind of talked about with growth earlier. So this is to everyone's advantage. There's more jobs that can be had and the company can grow. So
that's fantastic. And it takes a certain mindset, right, to see, I don't know if it's the silver lining or the forest for the trees. People who know me know I'm famous for mangling my metaphors, but whatever the appropriate metaphor is, do you see, and Kelly, I'm going to come to you on this in a second too, but Brittany, do you see, is there something in the leaders of those startups that allows them to see opportunity where other organizations only see risk, right, or fear?
In my opinion, that really comes down to the person's emotional intelligence.
Mm. And do you work with your clients on assessing that, or is that part of kind of what you help them with as you work and get into their cultural elements and what is key to success for their particular business?
Yes, we have what would be, executive coaching in that sense for the culture, because you have to care about the leadership before you can go down with everything. So.
Absolutely. Kelly, same line of questioning. A number of the organizations you've worked with are very big global brands, not exclusively so, right? You have a broad range of experience, but I'd love to kind of contrast with, some of the opportunities Brittany has highlighted with smaller companies. What are you seeing in terms of changes in the workforce at bigger organizations? Are they as nimble as smaller companies? Any examples to share? You don't have to reveal the brands. You can protect the innocent.
Yeah, it's a great point. So what I'm finding is at the larger organizations, they're becoming more nimble because they're acquiring the smaller companies because they're learning from those smaller organizations. That's been happening really a lot over the last 5 to 8 years because they just are more quick and they're doing it at no cost. So when it comes to marketing and sales and really having a presence on social media, the smaller companies get it. And the traditional ways of marketing, the traditional ways of doing things in general is just not so anymore. And what I'm finding is, quite honestly, for recruitment, it doesn't matter anymore your big name. So the General Motors of the world, I mean, these are still great, powerful companies, but really, a lot of the younger folks and different generations are not really impressed by that. They want to know, does their work matter? They want to know, are they treated a certain way? So those companies have had to really deep dive and get to know some of the smaller organizations intimately to understand, what are you doing so differently? How are you attracting people with zero budget?
That's incredible, Kelly. And if we have any CMOs in the community tonight, I'm sure they're like, oh my gosh, I've been spending so much money on our brand. And Kelly just told me it doesn't matter anymore. I mean, that's a big challenge, right? That used to be a big recruiting tool for talent, right? Big brand, you're going to get great experience here. But is there a rigidity in those organizations that doesn't necessarily allow them to be innovative? I mean, I liked what you pointed out, that they're acquiring innovative companies, but I also know it's really hard, both on the integration front as well as scaling up what works at a small organization to a global one. So I don't know, I'm touching on a couple of different elements here, but it strikes me that it would be not the common outcome that a big brand can really change and be that agile. Is that a fair assertion?
It's true. It's true. When I look back at the beauty industry, for an example, L'Oreal is a giant. I've worked at L'Oreal and it's huge and it's got amazing impact globally. But you look at the Kylie Jenners of the world and the Fenty Beauty with Rihanna, and they have just done just stupendous kinds of things in the marketplace when it comes to acquiring talent and just the way that they navigate through the world. So I think that it's got to be more than just compensation. We've got to get extremely competitive and really smart and creative. The creativity cannot just be in marketing. It can't just be in advertising. It's got to be very niche as to what are you offering an employee when they're joining. And they have to feel like they're making an impact, because at the end of the day, they want to know that their life matters. We're only here for a certain amount of time on this earth. And they want to know that when I'm leaving this earth, did I really make an impact? Did I make a difference?
Well, that is a wonderful trend to see, right? That folks are operating with that as an overarching objective, right? To really have that kind of impact and that social consciousness, right? It's so heartening to see in the younger generations. I don't want to date myself too much, although folks looking at my shirt might get a clue. Nevertheless, Kelly, I think that's really an inspiring set of observations. And it leads me to an area I want to kind of touch on and come back to Brittany on as well is new opportunities, disruptive occurrences in industry or life often drive the need for new skills, right? I think, Kelly, you said upskilling. Brittany, I know you mentioned this as well, because I'm not getting this out of my own head. So I want to talk about skills, right? And how do we think about helping distributed workforces continue to upskill in an efficient manner, right? And how do we facilitate engagement among distributed workforces or new models of work, right? Some in person, some digital. Love to hear both your perspectives on that. Kelly, let's start with you. What are some of the key skills that you think people need to be successful now and going forward, and however the new world of work shakes out?
Yeah, so three things. And Brittany, she touched on it a little earlier about EQ. It's three things. It's EQ, it's CQ, and it's IQ. IQ meaning just, the regular intelligence that we've known for so many years, but where companies were only focusing on those competencies about, the SAT scores and things like that of, 20 years ago, those things are not mattering as much. It's still important. However, EQ, emotional intelligence, is by far and away more important now than IQ. How do you deal with ambiguity? How do you read the room? How do you become more self-aware and pick up on cues and emotional regulation? CQ is cultural intelligence. So how do you navigate in terms of inclusion and diversity and justice and belonging? They're calling it now JEDI, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
I love that.
JEDI, I love it. So that's the new thing now. And last but not least, it's more about transdisciplinary functions. So I'm not focusing on just one particular skill. I'm able to really flex my muscles into other areas besides my own discipline. So now when we're hiring folks, we want to know, what kind of interest do you have in a variety of things, not just your function?
Fabulous. The well-rounded employee, right? The proverbial well-rounded. That is awesome. And I wrote all the cues down, Kelly. I hope I spelled them correctly. Thank you for the shorthand. I'll rely on the production team to set it all straight after the fact. But I love that. Brittany, I want to come back to you with the same kind of final question in this first segment. And while you're thinking again about some new skills that you see coming in demand and that we need, I just want to remind our audience, folks, we're going to be breaking out into our segment 2 small table discussion networking portion of our program tonight, shortly after Brittany's last response, and more on that in a second, but I want to get everybody prepared for this. So Brittany, what kind of new skills do you think are going to be critical in the new world of work in general, and anything that's particularly important as you see it for smaller organizations?
It's not necessarily that it's new, it's that we're getting back to our roots, and blue collar is not being slept on anymore. And being a prior blue collar myself, I have a passion for that. And a lot of people just think that the money is in white collar and the talent and the IQ and everything else is in white collar, and that's not the case. And I think that at least the pandemic started to show that and showcase the fact that there's a lot of blue collar talent that can move into white collar positions and excel because they have things that white collar doesn't.
That's excellent. And I think, that represents, more of those opportunities, right, that are emerging out of this change and this disruption. I also would love, this is potentially a whole topic for a whole segment, this notion about kind of some of the changing roles within organizations. And at the risk of overgeneralizing, Brittany, a number of, traditional blue collar types of jobs are often kind of hands-on positions, right? Where, you can't sit like Steve at an office, right, and do that work. You need to be on the line. You need to be, out on duty. Or serving patients, right, in hospitals, all kinds of these jobs that are hands-on. And in the new world of work, there's some unique challenges, right? Because you can't take those people out of those environments. Any thoughts about that, and that are those particular challenges for, you know, some of those traditional blue collar types of roles?
So is the question their challenge? I mean, I think that they're already adaptable type people. You can kind of throw, that's the thing with blue collar, you can throw them into a lot of different positions. And I think that maybe that is the answer to the question earlier, is that they're a lot more adaptive. Gotcha. Because they get thrown into, you know, welding, fabrication, you know, general labor is like a jack of all trades. And that might be the answer to the first question. I don't know.
Very, very interesting. I love how you tied that back together for us. Wonderful. So Brittany and Kelly, thank you so much. Very, very invigorating kickoff to our experience here tonight. Folks, we're going to go ahead and break out to our small table discussion. And all of you have a role to play, because first and foremost, we want you to get to know Kelly and Brittany a little bit more. Talk to them about what you've learned tonight, ask questions, right? Delve deeper into the areas that you're most interested in. While you're doing that, we've asked Brittany and Kelly to keep their ears open and listen, right? Which is one of their tips from both of them, right? We've got to be better listeners. I know the two of them are great listeners. Their job is to hear what's on your mind. And then when we reassemble back here on stage for our final segment together, I'm going to ask Brittany and Kelly to represent the views of the audience and share that with us. And then we'll get to some final Q&A to wrap up the evening. So Brittany and Kelly, enjoy your time out with our audience. Folks, we'll see you out at the tables in just a moment. Okay, everyone, we are back in broadcast mode. So excited to be back to kick off our final segment, segment 3, and we're gonna keep this tight segment, folks. We want to be respectful of the valuable time of everyone in our community, and of course, the valuable time of our two very special guests, Brittany Lenhart and Kelly Combat. Brittany and Kelly, welcome back. I really enjoyed segment 2, engaging with our community, and love to spend our last sort of 5 minutes together with our audience, hearing from each of you on, you know, what did you hear from the folks that you talked about? What's on their minds in this broad sort of thriving in the new world of work discussion topic? Brittany, let me go to you first. Anything stick in your head, any memorable comments or challenges that people shared with you in the last segment?
I think that it was Adam who brought up a really good point. An article recently came out about a New York CEO who brought up the fact that everyone needs to be back pretty much after Labor Day, like in the office. And if they don't plan to come back to the office, don't expect New York City salaries, you know, if they're somewhere in Colorado or something like that.
Wow. So the CEO communicated to all staff that they have to come back to the in-person offices, or they're going to lose pay. Is that the subtext of that, right? Pretty
much. And, you know, to play devil's advocate on both sides, you know, I can see it from the CEO's perspective that, like, do you really need New York salary if you are sitting in Timbuktu, you know, some, you know, rural place or whatever?
Sure.
Because really they're paying too for cost of living. So there's levels to that. But maybe people are, you know, are perfectly okay with that. I know I would be, as long as I'm happy with the job, but I'm going to drive into New York City and deal with, you know, so.
Right. Well, you know, so first of all, I think you're a very empathetic person to see all sides of it, right? This is one of the important things. And I know, Brittany, you had a phrase you used in the green room the other night about the kind of conversations you liked to see fostered and facilitate. I don't want to steal that phrase, but it struck me that this CEO took a bit of a harsh approach, right, to that conversation with his employees. And yet it was straightforward and direct, right? You want to talk for just a moment about the kind of conversations you like to see fostered in a good culture?
Having candid conversations is my favorite, because it really just gets to what we need to hear. Sometimes people don't like to hear things, but as long as people are also transparent with their conversations, and there's always a way in which you can say things that are it's gonna be more receptive to people. So hopefully when he communicated that, it was not harsh, because he could still get that same point across without being a turd.
Great point. being candid and direct and open is one thing, right? Being harsh and kind of mean about it, certainly a different approach. Brittany, that's awesome. I want to jump over to Kelly and see if she can share some thoughts. Kelly, how did you enjoy your time with our community at the tables, and what kind of things are you hearing that's on their minds?
Loved it. As I was saying in the chat, I can't believe how fast the time went. It was like all of a sudden up with no time left. But at the end of the day, I really enjoyed the conversations because we talked about a variety of subjects, particularly how scary things are now with regards to, as I was saying earlier, about JEDI, justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how there's this cancel culture now. I mentioned earlier that it's almost as if we're not going back to the way things used to be. And in some ways that's great. And in some ways it's very scary. I heard from Lisa and Emma and so many people about how, difficult it is understanding that when all of a sudden, a company can maybe try to do the right thing, especially after what happened with the murder of George Floyd and perhaps, with the Black Lives Matter movement, placing things on social media. I said to the group, to the table, that, nowadays the revolution will be televised. Even if you're not on social media, you'll hear about it. You'll hear about it in the news. You'll hear about a company's stock prices falling through the roof because of the fact that they tried to do the right thing. They thought they were doing the right thing, but they were really going through the motions. So going back to what Brittany was saying about how harsh that CEO was, I'm seeing it as well in my coaching practice when I'm listening with that level 3, level 4 listening. And I try to get to the root of what is the comfort in responding that way. What kind of solace does that provide that person? Because there is a psychology behind all of this.
That is an excellent question, Kelly, and I would love to hear the psychoanalysis behind that, right? Why would someone approach their team that way, and be so harsh? They're working hard for you. I don't know exactly what CEO it was or what company. I'm not sure. I want to know. I think I saw it float by in the chat real quick. Very active chat tonight, so it didn't stay long. Now it's above the fold, right? But I suspect it may have been one of those big wigs down on Wall Street, right? Tends to fit the profile. That said, we don't cast aspersions here at Cadence. We're a big tent. We want everyone here to share their unique perspectives. And on that note, folks, I know we're pushing the time limits here, but I do this every episode because I'm always just enjoying myself so much. So I'm going to give each of our very special guests one last shot, maybe just with a closing thought. Brittany, let's start with you. What's kind of one of your big takeaways that you share with your clients and organizations you work with? What do you think is the most important thing that organizations need to focus on, regardless of how the future of work manifests itself, right? What is that one thing that's always important for every organization to be doing?
Training. You can't throw people to the wolves and expect them to learn how to manage properly, because they're going to manage people instead of manage processes and piss people off, because people don't like to be micromanaged. And so if we give them the correct leadership training, it would behoove everyone.
I love that. Kelly, same question to you. What's that one critical thing organizations always need to be doing, especially now with all these changes?
If you have a good HR team, lean on them. Don't ignore them. You can't spell hero without HR.
Oh, yes. That's awesome. I love it. Now I got Jedi and I got hero. Very memorable, very memorable. And the leadership training, Brittany, so important. And Kelly, we've talked about that as well. I know that's one of your pillars. Something that's really important. So you leaders out there, you're never done learning. You're never done improving your skills and getting better, because the world continues to change, right? And so we all need to change with it. So folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap up our formal program here tonight on Cadence. I want to thank our two incredibly special guests, Brittany Lenhart and Kelly Combat. Thank you both so much for your incredibly valuable time, your wisdom, and being so open and sharing your perspectives and thoughts with us. I know I'm smarter and better prepared for the future of work than I was before tonight's program. And the folks in the audience, thank you for sharing your valuable time with us. Cadence wouldn't be Cadence without you. You're here to co-create this experience and make this program really uniquely special, right? And we appreciate you taking your valuable time to join us here tonight. With that, folks, just a quick program note. We do have another episode of this great experience coming up next month in September. So watch your emails and other social channels for more information. Our next program is going to be just as exciting as tonight. And in fact, one of our special guests, Lisa Jennings, was in the audience this evening. So you may have even spoken with her already. Next month, September 29th, the last Wednesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, for a very controversial topic, folks. Webinars are dead. They're dead. And we're going to talk about charting a new course for memorable virtual experiences. So we hope you can make time to join us next month, September 29th at 6:30. Until then, thank you again, Brittany and Kelly, for being our very special guests tonight. I want to thank our partners and friends at ACE Events for this beautiful experience and producing an amazing opportunity for all of us. And on behalf of the folks at B-Dance and ACE Events, I'm Steve Boyce. It's been great joining you tonight. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care and be safe.